Hi Stitchy friends, welcome back to my channel. I appreciate you stopping in to see how I'm doing. For those of you who are new here, my name is Melanie and this is my Flosstube channel where I share my love of cross stitch. I have a lot to share with you guys today. So let me give you the agenda. I'm going to start off with a few life updates and I'll put a timestamp here if you'd like to fast forward through those. I know some people just want to see the stitching and I don't blame you. So I'll put a timestamp there. Then I'm going to do a giveaway. Then I'm going to talk about, I have one finish. I have a ton of whips to share. And then my new stash and planned starts. So life, we'll start with all the good news. The good news is me and my sister Melissa went to StitchCon and we had the most wonderful time. I have not been to a retreat yet and neither had Melissa. And we've known Pam and Steph, you know, through the Instagram world for quite a while, and Nicole Buckeye Stitcher I've known for quite a while. So I was really excited to go to this retreat and see some people and hug them in real life, you know, virtual friends that I wanted to hug in real life. And so we went down on Wednesday and we stopped at the craft gallery and that was wonderful. That beautiful store. We bought a couple patterns there. Really, really nice owners, really beautiful shop. Highly recommend it. Then we continued on and we found our way to the Sharonville Convention Center. And we stayed right there on the property. There's a Hyatt attached to the convention center and we had no idea what to expect. You know, no idea what to expect. And so it's the morning of StitchCon. And we're getting in line, you know, we don't know, we just know each other at the moment. And we get in line and then here comes a couple of ladies, Janice and Danny. And next to us in line was also Julie. And then also in front of us that we hadn't even recognized her at first or hadn't even talked to her yet is Natalie. And we ended up being table number 32 at StitchCon and we had such a blast. It was like meant to be that we were chatting in line and, you know, by the time we got in there and we all got at the same table, we had so much fun. We stitched and stitched and stitched. We shopped at Keepsakes. We shopped at the annex that they had. The annex that they had was like a stitchy store in itself. I mean, the room was filled with fabric and threads and patterns. It was amazing. And then we ate at some really good local restaurants that were just like super tasty food. We had so much fun. We had so much fun. A lot of money was spent, a lot of purchases. But you know, you only go to a retreat every now and again and we couldn't help ourselves. There was just so many beautiful things. We rode the Stitchy bus. That was a ton of fun. We definitely wanted to experience that. So shout out to my table 32 girls. We had a blast. I've made new friends for life. And I definitely want to return. If you haven't been to a retreat, you know, think about StitchCon 2026 because the team, the way they put everything together, it was wonderful. It was a wonderful experience. I don't have a single complaint. It was just great. So the not so great news is, and thank you for all the prayers from the last video that you guys gave for my grandmother. My grandmother, Lolly, did pass away in May. And as sad as my heart is, she was ready. She had lived a very full life. She lived to 84 years old and she was surrounded by her family, all of her grandchildren and great-grandchildren and her kids. And we miss her dearly, but I'm happy for her that she's home and that she's at peace. So there's that. Let's get into giveaways. Now I have 3 patterns that I've designed. I'm currently designing my 4th. And I took some of these to StitchCon and I put them on the freebie table just so that people could, you know, have a pattern if they liked it, if they wanted to stitch. And I thought, well, I need to do a giveaway in my Flosstube as well. So the first pattern, and you'll see these up on my wall. This is the first one here. It's called the Perfect Pumpkin. And it's a pumpkin and a mama bird and a baby bird who went out to pick a pumpkin. And of course, baby bird picks the biggest one in the patch. And the sun, I love the sunflowers and the bees and the colors. My charts are all in color, and it's really good like cardstock material. You can see the colors. So yeah, if you'd like to be entered into the giveaway for this, just put pumpkin in your comment and I will pick a winner at my next Flosstube and send this your way. So exciting. The next design that I made was at Christmas time, and I wanted something, my favorite Christmas movie is the 1938 or 1939 version of Scrooge. And I absolutely love that version, and it's, you know, old-timey and just very classic decorations for Christmas. And that's what inspired this one. This one is called Mary Mary. And I turned it into an ornament. You'll see it hanging up here. It was so much fun. I twisted cording for the first time. It was a blast. So if you'd like to be entered into this and start an ornament for Christmas, just enter the word Mary, M-E-R-R-Y, in your comment. Okay, and last but certainly not least, Honey Bunny. I had so much fun with this one. Bunnies are my jam. I just think they're adorable. I'm obsessed with bunnies wherever I go, but I had too much fun drawing this. This is Honey Bunny. And it's basically this little boy bunny giving a great big Valentine to his little girl. So, and there's birds and they're holding hearts and there's hearts everywhere and there's bunnies. And I had so much fun not only designing this, but stitching it. So if you are interested in this one, just put the word bunny in your comment. Okay, I have a lot of stitching to share with you. I've been stitching a ton, especially, you know, StitchCon. I did some stitching there. I've got some new starts to share. I've got a bunch of things kitted up. Some of them I got at StitchCon that I want to share with you guys. So let's get into all the beautiful cross stitch. First, I would like to share my sweet niece, Grace Rose. She is a cross stitcher. So is my niece, Amelia. And when we were shopping in the annex, my sister said, oh, this one, Gracie's just gonna love this one. This is just her style. And she was right, because Gracie started it and she's made a ton of progress. This is called, and I hadn't heard of this designer, Milkweed and Monarch by Boomerang Stitches. And I will insert a picture of it here. Isn't that beautiful? I love the little bit of a modern flair to it. Like beautiful colors, but like how she's doing the wings geometrically, it's so pretty. Gracie, I can't wait to see when it's done. We'll get a frame for it. I can't wait. Okay, now on to some of mine. First of all, I did have a finish. Now, when me and Melissa went to StitchCon, like I said, we did some shopping, and one of the designs we found in the annex I had not seen before. Let me put it on a board here. This is Bloom Where You're Planted by Sweet Wing Studio. Let me show you the pattern first. Aren't those colors so yummy? The colors are immediately what caught me first. The flower, that's Persimmon. And let's see, Persimmon, Classic Colorworks Persimmon and Classic Colorworks Goldfish are what make up this flower. And then in some of the words, and then how she did some dark little doodads and then some light ones. I just thought this was precious. And me and Melissa both saw it and we're like, oh, because we wanted to stitch something together that commemorated StitchCon 2025. So this pattern is, I did mine out of 32 count white. Finished, it's approximately 2.9 inches wide by 5.9 inches tall. So I'm thinking I'm gonna make mine into a pillow, but I might do like a, kind of like a flat fold like she's got here too. I haven't decided yet. It's just so pretty. The other thing at StitchCon is people were so generous. They brought little things and passed them out to all the tables. And one of the folks there, I'm not sure who, but one of the folks there gave out 2025 charms, which I thought was such a good idea. So we had a vision that we're going to stitch this together and we're going to put our little charms on it. So like I said, this is about 3 inches by 6 inches. Stitch count is 46 by 95, so it's not a huge project. It uses Weeks Dye Works, General Arts, DMC, and Classic Colorworks, so you get the full gamut there. Isn't that so pretty? And this is by Sweet Wing Studio. and I finished mine. This fabric is a 32 count vanilla cream by Atomic Fabrics. And that, again, we bought this fabric in the annex. I'd never heard of Atomic Fabrics, and there just seems to be more and more fabric designers, more and more thread designers, more and more cross-stitch designers. I'm just loving it. I feel like every time I turn around, there's a new pattern out from someone I've not heard of. Our passion is growing, and it's growing at such a rapid rate, and it just makes my heart so happy because, I mean, if you think about it, in the old days, it was like big box stores. You got a dimensions kit, and that was about your only choice. So I'm loving it. I'm loving seeing everything explode. So there it is. Isn't that so pretty? Like I said, those colors, just the way persimmon and goldfish blend together and to make this flower, I'm just obsessed. Obsessed with those colors. So that was a fun stitch. It was a fun stitch. It did not take too long. If you're looking for a project, you know, for maybe summer or springy, you could turn it into a little pillow. My initial thought was pillow, and I might stick with it. We'll see. We'll see where we go. Okay, now let's talk whips. So you saw Gracie's whip. The other one, and I was preparing this for StitchCon because I knew when I went to StitchCon, I just knew I was going to be sitting there chit-chatty, right? And I didn't want to be working on patterns at StitchCon that required intensive counting, because for me, I know I just get like, you know, you're paying attention and you're laughing, and then I lose my spot and I gotta go, yeah. So what I did is I did a lot of outline work on this piece before StitchCon so that I could just sit and fill in. Turns out I didn't fill in a whole ton because I bought and started new stuff. This is for my fiance, Matt. He is a big Cubs fan. And this I found on Etsy, well, no, not Etsy. This was www.stitcheruniverse.com. And it's the Cubs logo. And I thought it was cool because she offered 3 different kinds. There's like, this is the 75 by 75, but when you purchase it, you also got like the 50 by 50 and the 100 by 100. So you could kind of decide. This 75 by 75 is going to be perfect for an 8 by 8 frame on my 32 count white fabric, which is what I was going for. So here, part of my thread, here's where I got to. So before StitchCon, I filled in all of this outline, and I only put a few stitches in at StitchCon. Like I said, I saw a squirrel and then another squirrel, and there was lots of stitching and lots of laughing and lots of fun, so I regret nothing. But he is always asking me, when are you gonna finish my Cubs? You know, you started another one. I'm like, yeah, you'll get it when I get to it. So that's a fun one. That's an easy one. You know, that's easy TV stitching. Once you have it filled in like that, just stitch and stitch and stitch away. Okay, next is United We Stand. This is by Teresa Kogut, and this is another one I took with me. I only took with me 2 patterns to StitchCon because I knew I was going to get distracted by other things, and I knew, you know, only being there we were there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then we left on Sunday. So 3 days. The time flies by. I mean, you're shopping, and then it's time for lunch, and then it's time for dinner, and then you're on the Stitchy bus. I mean, the time just flew by. So this was released a few years ago by Teresa Kogut, United We Stand. I think this is so sweet. I modified mine a bit to make it look more like me with brown hair instead of blonde. And these dresses, you guys, these dresses, good Lord. These dresses are huge. I see that they're big dresses, right? Like in comparison to everything, but oh my goodness, the stitch count on these, I am just stitching and stitching and stitching and stitching, and it's still more dress to go. So these are some very tall ladies. I stitched this on, or I'm stitching this on 36 count vintage country mocha. And there's where I am. So do you see how much this, like, wow, look how many stitches I've already done, and wow. It will so be worth it. I will adore this piece. I know I will. But again, before I left for StitchCon, I made a point of like outlining everything so that I could just go with the blue and go with the cayenne. Oh yeah, so this is Blue Corn, Weeks Dye Works. I think it's Weeks Dye Works Blue Corn and Weeks Dye Works Cayenne. Those are the 2 colors I changed in the dress. I just thought it's such a big patch of stitching that a little variegation would, you know, just kind of add to the piece. So I think her pattern, if I remember correctly, is all DMC. It's all charted in DMC. So if you're a DMC fan, it's all there for you. But yeah, this is one I've been working on for a couple of years. I'd really like to continue on with it. It's on my list for like, you gotta get it done, make this a priority. But it's just such a pretty piece. And I love it. I love stitching on it this time of year with 4th of July. So much fun. Okay, next. Oh, this guy. This, you guys, I am having a blast with this. So I was on Etsy, which I should never be on Etsy because I have all the patterns that'll last me a lifetime. I was on Etsy and I came across bookmarks, cross-stitch bookmarks. And I was like, what a fun idea, cross-stitch bookmarks. You know, I have a lot of readers in the family. My nieces are big readers. My sisters are big readers. My mom's a big reader. I like to read, but they outdo me. And I was like, these would be perfect gifts. So I started, you know, typing in cross-stitch bookmarks, and I came across Soda Stitch. And I've seen Soda Stitch, I've seen their stuff before in bigger pieces. So cute. There's backstitch. There is backstitch, but it makes the piece, like it makes it so adorable. So I came across their website, and they have all of the Disney princesses, or near close to it. They have Snow White, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, Rapunzel, there was Peter Pan, there was a couple others, but so adorable. I'm going to insert a picture here of the Cinderella one that I chose. Isn't that precious? And so I'm so excited. Now I'm going to do them all. In all my free time. I'm like, because everyone, you know, like we all know kind of who our favorite princess is. Mine is Aurora. But like, I just thought how fun, you know, to do these up for the family. So then I started poking around about, you know, doing bookmarks, how you can finish them. And I came across these gems on Amazon. Take a look at these. This is, I believe they're, I think they're 14 and 16 count Aida. Don't quote me on that, but I think they are. If you're interested, let me know and I'll send you the information. But look, all the different colors for all the different princesses. And they're fully finished. It's just this beautiful embroidered edge. Super easy. I've just been stitching on them in hand. And I mean, it's all you have to do is the stitching and then you have a gorgeously finished bookmark. So I'm super excited. And with Cinderella, of course, I went with the blue because, you know, Cinderella's dress is blue. And let me show you where I've gotten to. These are so fun. I am not a backstitch fan. I'm not, but I have a deep appreciation for the backstitch because when you add it, the piece just, wow, it just pops. But the other thing I got lucky with is these bookmarks were like the exact width within like 2 squares. I'm doing these 1/1. Everything else I've shown you is 2/2. I should mention that. Everything else I've shown you up to this point is 2/2. I'm doing these 2/1. So 2 threads over 1 fabric thread. And she's just gonna fit. So like I counted it out on this side here. You can see I've got like 2 squares and I counted it out over here and she's gonna be like right there. So it's gonna fill up this bookmark perfectly, which I mean makes sense. Soda Stitch probably, you know, designed their pattern knowing the typical standard size of the bookmarks, but I'm so excited. It's so pretty. And I love the edging. So beautiful. So I gotta do all the Disney princesses now in all my free time. Okay, next, this was a purchase at StitchCon. We went to Keepsakes, and Keepsakes is, when I say that, I'm not exaggerating, floor to ceiling cross stitch. There is not a piece of wall you can find that doesn't have cross stitch on it. And it's just, I mean, I felt like completely overwhelmed. I went in there and I just like, I feel like my jaw dropped and I just stood there staring and staring. I mean, you could stay in the same room for an hour and not see everything that's in the one room. But I came across this one. I love Little House Needleworks. I came across this one, and it's 80 days, around the world in 80 days. I loved the scene with the ship in the harbor and the little sheep and the hot air balloon. Like, this just screams summer to me. But what I really loved, and I'm going to insert a picture in a minute, is whoever stitched up the model for keepsakes, they did the alphabet instead of around the world in 80 days. And that, to me, just polished it off and just, oh, I just love it. So let me insert a picture here. So that's how I'm going to do mine. So again, this is Little House Needleworks. This is only 107 by 107. It uses Weeks Dye Works, Gentle Arts, and Classic Colorworks. Not a ton of them. Let's see. Oh, and DMC. Maybe like 8 threads. 8 different thread colors. Isn't that so pretty? So I started mine. I'm stitching mine on 32 count American Chestnut. And on this one, I have a needle minder from my new friend Janice from Table 32. She put an Alabama coin onto a magnet and made us needle minders. And that's where I am. Isn't that cool? That needle minder's so cool. So I am really loving this one so far. I did not want to put this one down. I was going and going, and I'm like, oh, because I love a house. You know, I just love building a house. But I'm really excited about this one. I think it's going to be so adorable when it's finished. Cute little, I think I'm going to do it in a frame, like how they show it on keepsakes, a little frame like this, and I can hang it up on my wall. I just think that looks so good. So more to come on that one. Let's see. We are on to July. Okay, there's a story about these. I purchased these patterns when I got back into cross stitch, like after years of college and life, and it was 2017, so it wasn't that long. It was like 8 years ago. I was like, you know, I should see what's out there for cross stitch nowadays. And my mind, I found Flosstube. I found all of the stitchy stores and stitchy shops and all these beautiful designers and patterns and linens, and needless to say, I went crazy. But I purchased these back in 2017 because I love them so much. And I have finished a couple of them. July is one of them that I finished. This is the Country, or not Little House Needleworks, Country Cottage Needleworks, July, Cottage of the Month series. Isn't that beautiful? That house is Betty Bluebell by Classic Colorworks and Blue Beatrice by Classic Colorworks. I just think those are such a fantastic blue. So it's Gentle Arts, DMC, and Classic Colorworks in this one. These houses, let me see, what's the stitch count? Let me pull this out. They're not, you know, crazy big. And I thought, oh my gosh, every month I can, you know, put a magnet on the back and like take it down and put up the new one for the month. And like I said, I've finished a couple of them, but either I didn't like the fabric, you know, after looking at it for a while, or I wanted them to be smaller. So I decided to redo the whole thing, all of them, on 36 count vintage mocha. So the stitch count is 77 by 77. And I'm doing this on 36 count vintage country mocha, 2 over 2. So 2 threads over 2 threads. And this is where I am. Aren't those blues fabulous? There are just some colors that I come across that really speak to me. Weeks Dye Works, Red Pear, these blues, Persimmon and Goldfish that I was just talking about. There are some that are just, they're just my jam. And these I absolutely love. So it's got a little birdie and a fountain. There's, you know, I got to put in the fireworks in July and all this up here, but I'm loving it. I love it on 36 count. I like the size it's going to be. So I'm going to work on these. They're going to stay in my whip rotation, and I'm going to get them all done. Some of them for the second time. Okay, next is, oh, my home in the garden. Here's another, and you're going to find a theme with me. I am not afraid to restart, and I've done it many times. If you've seen any of my other floss tubes, you know I'm a restarter. If there's just something about it that's not quite right to me, I have no problem restarting it because I love the piece so much. That's why I started stitching it. I don't want to ever look at it like, oh, I wish I would have done this, or oh, you know, I'm like, I might as well just restart it, which probably means I'm gonna have a lot of whips in this life, but that's okay. So my home in the garden, I started this one a couple of years back with Nikki Noodle and Betsy Klager, and it was for Nikki's birthday. Both of these ladies have finished. I have not, but I decided I didn't like my fabric. And Janice from StitchCon Table 32 decided she's going to start this one with me. So she got all of her stuff in the mail. I'm using a conversion. It calls for Gloriana silks. Back when I started this with Nikki and Betsy, Nikki came up with a conversion for, you know, just cotton flosses. And I used probably 80% of her conversion, and then I changed a couple colors for me. And so I'm using Weeks Dye Works, DMC, Gentle Arts, and Classic Colorworks. And it's just turning out beautifully. I am really glad that I restarted it. And the reason I restarted it is, like, I had started it on a kind of like an off-white fabric. I didn't have any like bright white fabric at the time. And it was pretty, don't get me wrong, it was pretty. But the colors in this are so fantastic. I really want them to just pop off the fabric. I really want to enjoy like the full richness of the colors. So I restarted, and Janice started with me. We're gonna try and get this done by StitchCon next year. We can do it, Janice. And here's where I am. So I started in the corner, and it's fun. You know, it's fun. The border too is very repetitive, like you can see. So once you get in the rhythm of it, you know, and you know the pattern, you can just go and go and go on the border without looking at the pattern, which is always a nice one. This one's gonna take me a while, and I am okay with it, because again, this is one I just dream of having on my wall and looking at it for years to come, and the colors are so pretty. I wanted it on the bright white. I should have been patient and waited for the bright white fabric. Okay, and my last whip. So like I said, my grandmother passed in May, and my grandfather passed in October of 2022. And my grandparents were, and I'm sure many of you can say this, my grandparents were like second parents to me. They really were. I lost my dad early on, in my early 20s. And they just stepped right in and were wonderful to us kids. The amount of good memories I have, and that's something, you know, I told my grandmother, you know, many times, is you made my life infinitely better. And she did, and so did he. And they just were such a huge part of my life that I decided I wanted to do a memorial sampler for them. While I'm having all these brain thoughts, Lisa from the Kindred Stitcher posted she was working on Faith, Hope, Peace, and Love by Teresa Kogut. And I've seen this piece before. This is a piece that was released at Market. Let me turn off my phone here. This was a piece that was released at Market, and I loved it when I saw it, but I have to say I wasn't crazy about the colors in this. And I mean, for some people, they probably absolutely love it. I'm a little bit more of like a brighter color, where this is very, very muted. And I do think it's beautiful this way. I do. But Lisa Kindred Stitcher decided to go outside of the box, and I love it. She picked 36 count eucalyptus fabric by Fox and Rabbit, which I had never seen. It's a new one for them. And she shared her conversion. She finished the piece. Go check out her Instagram. She finished the piece. It's gorgeous. And she was kind enough to share her conversion. So again, I used probably about 80% of her conversion, and there were a couple I didn't have. Like she had Silks for You and a color that I think was a color in cotton, like, you know, part of the club, and it wasn't available anymore. So I made a couple substitutions. And I love how this is turning out. My plan is here where the words are, or where the letters are, I'm going to have it say beloved grandparents, and I'm going to put their names and birth and death dates. And then I can always look at this. It reminds me of them up here. They were something. They were something. I'm an incredibly blessed woman to have had them for grandparents. So now the other thing I want to tell you, if you are interested in eucalyptus, the fabric, what I found, and this is just my personal opinion, when I went hunting for it, all the pictures I found online, it looked really dark, almost like a pine colored green. And I was like, Lisa said she used eucalyptus, and hers, when I look at hers on her Instagram, it's like a grayish blue. And I know that like lighting right and computer monitors and all the things, so I trusted it and I went with it and I got it, and I'm so glad I did. But my point here is, if you like this color fabric, it's going to look a lot darker when you go to order it on the internet, or if you get it in your store, you'll be able to see it. But here's where I got to. This is 36 count eucalyptus by Fox and Rabbit. I am doing it 2/2. I started in that bottom right corner, and I got a little Nina minder from Sweet Autumn Stitch, love, because it is, and I started with love because that's what they were pure love. And isn't this a gorgeous fabric? Like, take my breath away, gorgeous fabric. So I am so excited for this piece. This is one I want to try and work on. Like, I've seen people make such good progress when they're like, okay, I'm going to work on this for one thread every evening, or 20 minutes an evening, just to see that constant progress, because it's such a big piece for me and I get like distracted. So that's my plan. I'm currently finishing stitching my next design, which I'm hoping to have out in the beginning of August. But once I finish that, I'm going to get back to stitching on this daily. Okay, let's talk about some of the purchases I made and some of the new starts. Some of these are amazing. So I got this one, Forever and Ever. This is one I'm going to do kind of the same thing. I'm going to dedicate it to my dad. I'm going to put his name here. I just love Brenda Gervais. I love the stuff she does with these bluebirds. And then this one I saw on the wall at the craft gallery, and oh my gosh. The saying is, it's called Faith of the Heart, but the saying is, God finds a low branch for the bird that cannot fly. And again, she's got those same type of blue, gray colored birds. So pretty. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. This I got at the Annex, the Keepsakes Annex at StitchCon. A French Rose, Marie Valet, maybe? Isn't that delicate? And they had the sampler there stitched up, and it was just like this, with the just laying flat with just a lace trim around it. It was so precious. So precious. So I got that. And then I got Gratitude is the Fairest Blossom, which springs from the soul. That's the saying on the sampler. It's called With Gratitude by JBW Designs. I loved the pinks and the blues together. I just think that's so pretty. Now let's talk about one more, and then I'm going to show you the things I've kitted up that I'm going to be starting soon. Fanciful Flowers by Hello from Liz Matthews. Again, there is something about seeing these stitched that just makes my credit card fly right out of my wallet on its own. I have no control over it. It just jumps out of my purse on its own. There's just something about seeing it stitched that I've seen so many where you look at the pattern and you're like, yeah, that's pretty. But then you see it stitched and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to have it. And that's pretty much how I felt about this one. I just think it's so beautiful. The colors are so beautiful. Okay, let's get to some other stuff that I'm going to be starting. My new friend, Sarah, from Sarah's Stitchery. Hi, Sarah. There was a beautiful brag table at StitchCon that went along 3 of the walls. And what an incredible thing to do, because again, seeing stitching in person is so much different than what you might see online or what, the picture quality on a pattern. She had stitched this and it was gorgeous. I was just standing there at the brag table drooling over it, and I had seen this pattern released before. Like, this is not a new pattern, but in that moment I was like, have to have it. This is The Blue Flower by Huckleberry Farm. I'm sure you've probably seen it before. It is absolutely stunning. And when I saw Sarah's beautiful work, oh my gosh, I just had to have it. Now, the thing I really want to show you, there's so many beautiful flosses with this, but this fabric, oh my gosh. I got the called for fabric. It's 36 count shale. And I think, is this by Picture This Plus? Let me see. I think this is, yes, by Picture This Plus. Shale linen by Picture This Plus. You're not going to believe this color. Isn't that so beautiful? It's so beautiful. Now, what's not coming across on camera, and this is exactly what I was talking about with the eucalyptus, it has a purplish tone to it. Let me see if I can, maybe if I put it against my white board, you'll be able to see. Because I know when you're picking fabric, it's so hard, right? Like maybe if I put it against my white board, you'll see more of the, not really, not so much, but believe me, it has like a purple tone in it, and it's just so pretty. I am obsessed. It showed up in the mail and I was squealing. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to start that one. So that's going to be a start. This special. So the other thing they had at StitchCon, which was incredible, was the freebie table, and people had boxes of cross stitch patterns. There were so many patterns on the table that as I was up there thumbing through them, I mean, like piles are sliding. There was just so much. People are so generous in giving things that, you know, they've had in their stash and they just kind of have decided that's not going to be the ones on the must stitch list. But it was kind of funny because StitchCon was in June. We had just lost my grandma about a month before. My grandmother grew up playing on the beaches of Point Betsy. That's a lighthouse in Frankfort, kind of nearish Frankfort, Michigan. And Point Betsy was her thing. She had Point Betsy decorations. It was a big deal. We all know her favorite lighthouse. And I was thumbing through the stuff on the table, and wouldn't you know, Point Betsy. So I felt like that was a nudge from Grams. So I picked it up. So thank you to whoever donated this to the freebie table, because this will mean a lot to me to stitch. Very cool. Let's see, it's from, let's see if it says the year. Oh, 1998. 1998. Now, what I've decided to do, there's a lot of DMC. Wow. A lot of DMC. But what I decided to do is, rather than stitch this background, I decided to get some gorgeous fabric. And the gorgeous fabric that I found is, I won't take it out because it'd be super crinkly. This is by Fabric Flair, and it's called Magic Clouds. And it looks like magic clouds. But doesn't that look like you're staring up at a real summer sky? So I just think that's going to be gorgeous with this, and to have that beautiful blue background. I always see Point Betsy in the summer because we'll go over to the west side of Michigan. And so for me, Point Betsy's more of a summer scene. So I'm going to add a few leaves, I think, to those trees. And then that beautiful blue sky is just, it's going to be really special. So I'm excited about that one. This is in one of my Halloween bags. I'm obsessed with the black cat. This is another one me and my sister are going to stitch together that we found at the StitchCon Annex. It's called Heart Song by Cherry Blossoms. And it says, "Stitching makes my heart sing." How adorable is that? Those colors get me. I just love the beautiful colors. This heart, oh my gosh, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. So let's see, this uses DMC and Weeks Dye Works. And the count is 66 by 91. So again, not like a huge one. I'm going to do it on 32 count white like it recommends. So I've got everything kitted up in here. I've got all the beautiful flosses. Ooh, turquoise, that pink. So pretty. So I've got all the flosses. I've got everything kitted up. I just need to start. That was another purchase. This one I'm going to blame on, this is the last one. I'm going to blame this on Pam from Just Keep Stitching. Like I said, Pam and Stephanie started their Flosstube in 2017, kind of around the same time I did, I believe. They might have been before me, but kind of close to that same time frame. And she was sitting at the table next to me, and she was stitching away, and I kept looking over, and I kept looking over, and finally I was like, Pam, what pattern is that? That is so pretty. She was stitching this beautiful gray house, and the tie, like the siding is like different colors in the squares. I'll show you, but I fell in love, and she gave me the details, and I rushed off and bought all the stuff because I just have to have it. This is by the Cross-Eyed Cricket, and it's called Down East. Look at those crabs at the bottom. And this is what I'm talking about. She was stitching this, and you really see like that effect. It's got that siding effect. It's so pretty. And then the blue, oh my gosh. So let's see, what is this? This is, does it tell me? 120 by 153. There are a lot of flosses for this. A lot of DMC. Actually, all DMC except a couple of silken colors. Snow Cream, Ethiopian Rock, Sawtooth Sky, and Snowdrift. And I went ahead and bought these because they're just so fabulous. Look at this blue. Isn't that blue gorgeous? And that's going to be the water. Had to have it. And then I also looked at her Instagram to find out what fabric she used. And this is another fabric designer I've never bought fabric from, but I ran off, had to have it. I got 36 count colonial parchment, and this is Fabrics by Stephanie. Isn't that pretty? So pretty. It's got like that old paper feel. It's really beautiful. So again, I've got everything for this now. I need to start. I gotta get I'm gonna get my pattern done, and then it's gonna be a start fest. My next Flosstube, you're gonna see a start parade instead of a whip parade. Okay, that is all of the stitching. I'm just super excited about all the new stuff. I'm super excited about progress on the old stuff. I'm gonna share the happy card and then wish you guys well, and hope you're gonna be stitching as much as I am. Okay, 29. So there's only 30 cards. I bought this pack a long time ago. Affirmation card deck, 30 card deck. So we're on 29. And 29 is, I am ambitious. And I'm going to chuckle because with all of these planned starts, I am ambitious. No problems in that department. Okay. I put my goals and ideas into action. I take a leap of faith and I believe in myself. When I put my heart's desires into action, it is for the good of all of those involved. I am ambitious. So I do believe that. I think for the good of all of you, I will stitch these so you can see them. Yeah, it's an ambitious task, but it makes me so joyful. You know, I'm one of those people, like, start the things. Life is just too short. You just never know what tomorrow's going to bring. Start the things, enjoy the colors, and, you know, enjoy the process. So thank you for coming to visit with me. Thank you for all of you who are new here, that you stopped by. I love sharing my projects, and this is one of the things we talked about at StitchCon too, being around people who understand what you're talking about. Because I'll like say to my fiance, look, this is 36 count eucalyptus, and he's like, Where when you actually talk to other stitchers, they know. They have your same vibe. They get it. So that's why I do this. I love meeting people through Flosstube. So I will be back again soon. I have big news. My sister Melissa, who is the Snow Day Stitcher on Instagram, I have convinced her to do a whip parade. I'm so excited. So she has been organizing all her stuff, pressing her projects, and we're gonna get together and we're gonna do Melissa's whip parade, which I'm super excited about. I think she told me she's got like 21 projects, so that'll be super fun. She's got some really pretty stuff. So next time we'll come back with Melissa's whip parade and some updates from me. And until then, I hope you guys are enjoying your summer. I am melting in Michigan. I am melting onto the floor. It is humid, it is hot. I don't know how those sweet girlfriends of mine from Table 32 live in Alabama, because I would be a puddle. But it is beautiful weather, and today I went out and I golfed with my brother and my nephew. He's learning golf and he did so well, and even though I was sweaty in all the wrong places, we had so much fun. So I hope you're enjoying your summer, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.